Hey YouTube, SC65 with another chapter. Now, the term cryptid refers to any creature whose existence is not supported by science. This can include animals that were thought to be extinct but may still exist, as well as legendary creatures that exist only through stories and circumstantial evidence. Although most of these creatures are undoubtedly just myths, they do occupy a unique place in popular culture, and it's worth noting that animals like the giant squid and even the mountain gorilla were once also the stuff of legend. Here's a guide to some of the most famous creatures that might be lurking out there somewhere. Number 10, the Mongolian deathworm. Supposedly found in Asia's massive Gobi Desert, the Mongolian deathworm is said to be reddish in color and measure anywhere from 2 to 5 feet in length. It is also known as the Algoi Gorkoi, or intestine worm, because of its supposed resemblance to a cow intestine. The deathworm is a legendary among nomadic tribes of the region, and has even been blamed for several deaths. It is said that the worm moves beneath its desert sands, only surfacing to attack its unexpected victims by spitting some kind of venom or acid at them. This worm is also said to possess the ability to emit an electric charge, and some have even credited it with psychic powers, saying that it can kill a person just by looking at them, although it doesn't have eyes. In the early 1919s, an expedition was mounted to interview locals and try to search for Mongolian deathworm, but it uncovered no evidence beyond stories. Anemones were only said to arise after the nomads consumed hefty amounts of the local vodka. Number 9, the thunderbird. Thunderbirds is a blanket term for impossibly huge birds that are frequently spotted across North America, known as rocks in Europe without the K. In Europe and Asia, these massive creatures are purported to have wingspans as big as 14 feet, and at least one story from the 1970s described 2 thunderbirds attacking a group of young boys and lifting one off the ground. Thunderbirds are frequently compared to the mythical Native American creature of the same name, a bird that was said to have supernatural power to create thunder by flapping its wings. Perhaps the most famous story of the cryptid version of the creature dates back to 1890, when it is said the 2 cowboys killed a lizard-like winged creature and dragged its corpse back to town. But this story has been dismissed as an urban legend. For their part, ornithologists and other scientists say that the creatures could not survive in a modern ecosystem, and even if they could, they would be spotted and photographed by bird watchers. Number 8, phantom cats. Like thunderbirds, the term phantom cats is a title given to any number of large predatory felines that have been spotted in Asia, Oceania, and Europe. They're also referred to as ABCs, or alien big cats, and are said to resemble jaguars or cougars in appearance. The most famous stories of the phantom cats come from the UK, where it is in the 1970s the so-called Beast of Exmoor was blamed for the deaths of hundreds of sheep. The British media jumped on the stories, with one paper offering a monetary reward for killing or capturing a creature. Even the British government got involved in the search, sending up a number of Royal Marines to the area. But although several soldiers claimed to have seen the creature, no specimens were found. A similar creature, known as the Beast of Bodmin, surfaced in the 1990s, but no conclusive evidence of its existence was ever uncovered, and a subsequent investigation concluded that the area simply doesn't have the climate or food supply to support giant cats. Number 7, Mokele Mbembe. Considered to be the modern dinosaur or even a spirit, Mokele Mbembe is a water creature said to exist in the Congo River Basin in Central Africa. It is said to be a large, reptilian creature with a body like an elephant and a long neck. Stories and sightings of Mokele Mbembe can be found as far back as 1776 and as since the early 1900s. Missionaries and explorers that visit the region have been told of a massive sauropod that dwells in the local rivers. Witnesses claim it resembles a dragon or brontosaurus, though no reliable photographic evidence of the monster exists. There are several stories of local hunters killing a Mokele Mbembe with spears, with one tale relating that when the creature was brought back to the village for a celebration cooked, all who ate some of it soon died. In recent years, a number of expeditions have gone to the jungles in search of the water beast, but no evidence of its existence have been uncovered. Number 6, the Mothman. The Mothman had been described as a large, man-sized creature with the wings of a moth and red eyes. It was spotted by a number of residents of Charleston and Point Pleasant, West Virginia in 1966 and 1967 prior to the collapse of the suspension bridge that resulted in the deaths of 46 people. After the bridge collapsed, sightings of the Mothman died out, leading many to speculate that the creature only appeared before disasters. A number of explanations were put forth, among them that the Mothman was actually a large bird or owl, or that the sightings were all hoaxes, but others speculated that the creature was some kind of ghost or even an extraterrestrial. The story had a huge impact on pop culture, thanks to a popular book and film about the event, and to this day the city of Point Pleasant continues to hold a Mothman Festival every year. Number 5. The Jersey Devil. Perhaps the only cryptid to be a mascot of a major sports franchise, in this case the New Jersey hockey team, the Jersey Devil is one of the most well-known folk creatures. Its legend dates back to the 1700s, when it is said to have been born of a witch called Mother Leeds and the devil himself. The creature supposedly had a horse head and hooves, a long neck, and large bat-like wings. Its eyes are said to glow red, and when spotted it gives out a terrifying high-pitched squeal. It is purported to haunt the signs barons of New Jersey, and over the years it has been credited with the deaths of a number of livestock. It is said that the poisoning local creeks and streams. There have been continued countless sightings of the Jersey Devil in and around the Pine Barrens over the years. Most famously in 1909, when thousands of people as far away as Pennsylvania claimed to have spotted it. In the 1960s, a $10,000 reward for offered to capture the Jersey Devil, but it has gone unclaimed, and new sightings of the creature are reported every year. Number 4. The Yeti. Also known as the abominable snowman, the Yeti is a large, ape-like creature that is said to exist in the Himalayas of Nepal and Tibet. The creature is well documented in the oral history of myths of the local people, but its legend grew as soon as the Westerns began to climb Himalaya peaks like Mount Everest. Dating back to 1800s, a number of climbers reported seeing a large primate walking on 2 legs, and even more discovered the possibly large footprints in the mountain snow. Famed mountaineers Sir Edmund Hillary and his Sherpa Tenzing Norgay reported seeing such footprints during the historic trek up Mount Everest, though both would later deny the Yeti's existence. As recently as 1984, an American mountaineer reported being stalked by the creature as he climbed Everest, but he was unable to produce any convincing photographs. Like most of the more well-known cryptids, the Yeti legend has given to rise as many hoaxes, including a famous piece of film faked by Fox television show. Still, though most remain skeptical, the Yeti legend has been given an unusual amount of credibility among scientists, if only because the remoteness of the sheer size of the Himalayas have prevented any kind of adequate investigation from being undertaken. Number 3. El Chupacabra. El Chupacabra is one of the most well-known cryptids in popular culture, and has supposedly been spotted in the US, Latin America, and even Russia. Its name literally means goat sucker because of its supposed method of attacking and drinking the blood of goats and other livestock. El Chupacabra was first spotted in Puerto Rico in the mid-90s, and it is said to be reptilian in appearance with row of spines on its back and sharp fangs. Witnesses claim that the creature's eyes glow red, and it is said that it leaves behind a distinct scent of sulfur. Victims of the El Chupacabra, which have included cows, goats, and chickens, are typically found dead and drained of all blood, usually with a fang puncture mark somewhere on the body. The creature had been blamed for the deaths of thousands of livestock around the world, and unlike most cryptids, a number of supposed chupacabras have even been killed and examined. Nearly all have been determined to be dogs or coyotes, with severe cases of mange. Number 2. Sasquatch. Perhaps the most recognizable of all famous cryptids, Sasquatch is a bipedal, ape-like creature that is alleged to inhabit the forests of American Pacific Northwest, also known as the Bigfoot because of its especially large footprints. The creature is said to weigh more than 500 pounds and is said anywhere from 7 to 10 feet tall. The Sasquatch legend dates back to the Indian tribe, who passed on stories of Tisemaque, a large brown ape creature that is said to stalk the forest. The modern Bigfoot story began in 1958 when a bulldozer operator in California discovered a number of large footprints at one of his work sites. The Associated Press eventually picked up on a story about the find, and soon people around the country were searching for the Sasquatch. Another breakthrough came in 1967, when two men named Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin claimed they had filmed the Bigfoot walking through the woods near Wolf Creek, California. Their footage, now known as the Patterson-Gimlin film, remains the most famous evidence of the Bigfoot's existence, despite it later claimed by a friend of Patterson's who said he had dressed in an ape suit to help the men engineer a hoax. The Sasquatch phenomenon has been a source of constant debate and speculation for over 50 years, and stories of similar creatures, like the Yowie in Australia and the Yeren in China, can be found all across the world. And number 1, the Loch Ness Monster. Probably the most well-known of all cryptids is the Loch Ness Monster, a famed creature supposedly found in Scotland's Loch Ness. Its legend dates back to the 6th century when an Irish monk called St. Columba is said to have confronted a water beast after he killed a man by dragging him underwater. Since then, there have been thousands of sightings of the creature, which is affectionately known as Nessie. Supposed photos of the monster are frequently put forward to prove its existence, but most aren't conclusive, and many, such as the famous surgeon's photo, have been revealed as hoaxes. Opinions differ on just what Nessie is, with some claiming it to be a giant eel. Others have said it could be a massive reptilian or even a plesiosaur. Many expeditions have been mounted in search of the monster, but none has been successful in either proving or disproving its existence. Scientists generally dismiss Nessie as a fantasy, but cryptozoologists and other believers have argued that the loch, which has depth of over 700 feet, could support such a massive creature, which they hypothesized might be able to travel from the ocean to the loch via an underwater passage. Whatever the case, the Loch Ness Monster and its enduring mystery have been proven to be a multi-million-dollar industry, with countless tourists visiting the site each year in search of the elusive water beast. Well, YouTube, this has been SC65. Have a good night.